Hello class, and welcome to the final module showing new materials for Microsoft Access, and also the final module of instruction for the semester. We're going to just continue working with the same database or a similar version of the database we've been working in past weeks, but we're going to add some new features that you can do with Microsoft Access. So first thing I'm going to show you today is creating a split form. So back in module 1 of Microsoft Access, I showed you how to create a form. It's a pretty simple process of just essentially getting a single record view of a table. Creating a split form allows you to have both a view of a single record while also seeing the table in the normal grid view that you see while you're working with it. So it kind of gives you the advantage of both. So to create a split form, I'm going to go over to my database. And I'm going to go to the account table just by highlighting the account table, clicking on it once to select it, or I guess I'll open it in this case. I then go to the Create tab, and then down here it says More Forms. I'm going to click on More Forms, and I'm going to choose Split Form. So what this is allowing me to do is open a form, as I said, with both the form view as well as the full table view. My form is now loaded. So you can see here in the top part, it's showing the information for account AC001 and all of the information on that particular record. And on the bottom half of the window, you can also see AC001 with the same information. The nice thing here is I can click on any one of these and then see all of that information in the record view. So it's duplicative. You know, you're seeing both pieces of information on the same screen, you're seeing the same information twice, but it is nice to be able to navigate through the records quickly and see a detailed view on the top part of your screen. Continuing on, I can use that split form now to add new records to my table if I want to. I don't think there's anything too surprising here. If I go down the bottom part of my window, there's an arrow here with like a flashing light looking icon. That lets me create a brand new record. So if I click on that, it takes me to the very end of the table, and then I can just put in whatever I want into that record. I have some stuff I've done with this particular table. So anyway, I could add a new record in here just by typing it into these fields, and then once I zoom or move away from that record, it will then commit that record to the table. I can also search for records by going into the form to search and then clicking open on the shortcut menu. So if I'm in my record view, and I can do, I have to be in a record here. So I have to go to my Home tab. Once I've clicked on that, you can see here I have a Find button. And then let's say I wanted to find Lancaster Hospital. I'll just type in hospital. And because I was searching for a whole field, it's not going to find it. So I'll change that to any part of the field, and then it'll find the hospital record. So now you can see Lancaster Hospital. That's my bad. I was looking at the entire field instead of just a portion of the field. So once I did that correctly, you can see that it navigates to that record. And if there was more than one that had the word hospital in it, I could hit next, and then it would find the other records. But it's only in one record in this case. So continuing on, I can delete records from this view as well. I'm just going to warn you, as I do always, that when you delete something from your database, it is gone. There is no bringing it back without manually retyping it or going to a database backup. So you always want to be cautious when you're deleting things. But if I've got this record at the end here that's just garbage anyway, if I highlight this record by left-clicking on the left edge of it, and then I can hit the delete key, and then you can see it's going to warn me, hey, you're about to delete a record and you can't undo this. I can say yes, and then that record is now completely gone from the database. I can also use filter by selection. I think we've done something similar to this, if not exactly this, but just to make sure that you're aware of it. If I go into a table view, I'm just going to go into my regular table view, and then I'm going to select something here. Let's select Davidson. And then I'm going to go to filter by selection. And I can say equals Davidson, and then it's only going to give me the records back that equal Davidson. I could have also chosen does not contain, and then it'll give me every record that doesn't contain the word Davidson in it. So that's one way that you can filter things. I can toggle filters on and off. This can be kind of valuable in Microsoft Access if you want to see an entire table view and then see just a limited view of records that you're specifically wanting to look at back and forth. You can see sort of down here, it's kind of hidden a little bit in my view, but I can toggle filters on and off using this option. So first I'm going to clear my filter. It's going to clear all filters under advanced. And then I'm going to filter just to Walker, Indiana. And you're going to see I only get that one record because there's only one record that matches that. However, I can toggle that filter on and off. So you can see if I click on this, it goes on or it goes off. I can also choose the same thing here up at the top where it says toggle filter. So that's just a quick way for you to turn it on and off. So you can see a filter selection and then back to your whole table to get both views. Using a common filter, those are ones that are at the top of the columns. So if I go up here, you can already see that that filter button appears. Because I'm already doing a filter, let me go to advanced, clear all filters. I can filter up here with any of these options. So I can do text filters under the submenu, choosing any one of these options, or I can just specifically choose certain options. Like if I only wanted to see Avondale and Cotter, I can choose those two and hit OK, and it'll filter it down. So it lets me get very specific with what I want to filter to. Perhaps account name is not the best option there because I could do one like city where there are multiples of the same city. So if I wanted to see everything in Avondale, Davidson, and Granger, I can select those three options and then it'll filter down to those three particular options. I can also choose filter by form. So filter by form really lets you get down into the details. I'll go to first advanced, clear all filters, then back to advanced and choose filter by form. And it gives me what looks like a blank record here. And I can specifically say exactly what I want to see here. So I can say I only want to see the city of Davidson where the amount paid is greater than 200. I can do that, and then I can toggle that filter on now, and then you can see there's only one in Davidson where the amount paid was greater than $200. So the filter by form lets you get very specific in how you want to filter on each individual part of a record. So about anything you want to filter to, you should be able to in one of those views. I've already done clearing existing filters. I've shown you all of these different field options, so there's filter options, so nothing should really be new here. Adding a new field, so we've got existing tables. I can put in new fields if I want to, obviously, after I've created the table. I don't think there's anything surprising here. I'll mess with the account table that I've already been working in. I'm going to get rid of my filter again. And now I'm going to take this table into design view, which is the view where, again, you can see all of the different fields in the table. And maybe I want to add a new field here. I can insert a row, and then I can just say, maybe the company's favorite color. Doesn't really make any sense, but whatever. So now I have a new field in my table. When our in this datasheet view, first I have to save the changes to the table. There's a new field in here called favorite color. So I can add fields in there whenever I want and put them wherever I want. There's no concern there about having to have the entire table figured out when you build it. That's that. Creating a lookup field. So up to this point, we haven't really done lookup fields, but you can create a field that only lets the user of the field select from a predetermined list of options. So it allows you to limit what someone can put in that field so you don't get as many typos. You can do it both ways. You can do it where you can limit them to specifically your options, or you can give them the options and let them choose their own other options beyond that. So you have multiple options there. So I'm going to go to that field I just created. I'm going to mess with it a little bit. So I'm going to take this back to the design view. I'm going to take this back in the design view again. And here I have got that favorite color field. Instead of being short text, I'm going to hit the pull down next to that, and I'm going to choose Lookup Wizard. And this allows me to build my lookup. And I'm just going to go ahead and type in the values that I want. And then I'm going to hit next. And I'm just going to type in what field their values are. Red, tab down green, tab down blue, orange, whatever. So you can have as many of those as you want. And then I can hit next. And this is where I can do a couple of different things. First, I can limit it to the list, which means they wouldn't be able to put anything they want. I'm going to leave that unchecked right now. And then I can also choose multiple values. So if a company had 2 favorite colors, they could choose them both. I don't want to do that yet. We'll be doing that in a little bit. So I'm going to hit finish. And you're going to see now, when I take this back into datasheet view and save my changes to the table, the favorite color field now, when I click on it, has a pull down option. And you can see those options that I put in there are available, and I can very quickly, without having to worry about making typos, select those options. However, because I didn't limit it to the list, I can also say, hey, this company actually really likes the color green, even though it's not one of the options, or maybe green is an option. Maybe they like black. Doesn't really matter. But you can see that it doesn't necessarily limit to the list. It allows them to put in whatever they want. So it's kind of a hybrid option where they can type in or they can choose from the list. So that's using that. Continuing on, I can add calculated fields. So a calculated field is a field that is not in the actual database, but it allows me to do some kind of math, right? And then have that show as a new field. So it's not something that you actually directly type in. It's something that's created off of another field that's in the table. We did something with that in queries. We have not done that directly on the table. And this database has already had this happen once because I added a late penalty field, which is what I usually like to do. So I'll have to come up with something else here. Let's see. Let's do an early payment discount. Okay, so if somebody pays early, let's figure that they'll get a 5% discount and then have a field that shows what that discount will be. So I'm going to create a calculated field called early payment discount. So I'm going to just put it right here after amount or current due. So I'm going to insert a field here. I'll call it early payment discount. And I'm going to, instead of having a short text field, I'm going to make that a calculated field. and it is going to be current due times 0.05. And then I'm going to hit OK. And when I run this, you're going to see, I'm going to adjust the format on this to be a currency, so it looks a little bit better. When I run this in data sheet view, you're going to see that I have an early payment field now that is just the current due times 0.05 and then formatted as currency. So that just lets someone very quickly, if maybe someone's dealing with the payment stuff, they can very quickly take these numbers and figure out what the person's payment due is if they pay early. Okay, update queries. So we've mostly done select queries up to this point. An update query is where you make a selection and then you update specific fields based on that selection. This is where you would use a where clause in most cases. But I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to update, right now I'm just going to make everybody's favorite color green, just because. So that's going to be my update query. I'm not going to put any kind of criteria on it beyond that. I'm just going to fill in this entire column with green. So I'm first going to go to create, and then I'm going to do query design, like we've done previously, and I'm going to put the account table in there. But this time, instead of having it be a select query, which you see is what's selected by default, I'm going to make it an update query. And I'm going to choose to update the favorite color field, which is right here on the table. And I'm going to update it to, what did I say, green. So now I am not going to put any criteria in. When there's no criteria, that means it's going to update that entire field for every record. So basically my selection is saying, in all cases where there is a field favorite color, change it to green on this table. So when I run this, I'm going to get a warning because I am updating records, and once you do an update query, just like if you delete a record, you cannot undo it. So this is where you have to be cautious. So I'm going to update all 16 rows. That's what I would expect because there are 16 records in the table. If I was only expecting to update 4 rows and it said you're about to update 16 rows, and something has gone wrong. So I'm going to do that update. And then if I go to my account table, you can see that favorite color now says green for every record, whereas before it had different things that I typed in there, or it's selected from the lookup list. So that's an update query. I can also do a delete query. The same warning goes along with a delete query that goes with deleting records and updating. If you do a delete query that is going to delete records, you cannot undo it. So deletes are probably the most dangerous thing you can do in a database because undoing it is not an option, and you can very quickly mess up the integrity of the database or have data loss. So it's something that you want to do with caution. So I'm going to do a delete query here. Let's say I get rid of any records in Lafayette County, just because I only have 2 in there, and I decided I'm not going to do business in that county anymore. So I'm going to get rid of those 2. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to create, and I'm going to go to query design. To get a new query, I'm going to load the account table up. And this time, instead of doing an update query, I'm going to do a delete query, which is this option here. And as I said, I am going to delete the field county. I'm going to use the field county in my query where the criteria is Lafayette. So it's going to find any record with a county of Lafayette, and it's going to delete it. Now, something that you may want to do, again, as a safety precaution, when you need to delete some records on the database, it's often good to do a select query first with your criteria so you can see the records you're going to delete and then convert that to a delete query and delete the actual records. That way you're kind of seeing what you're going to delete before you actually do it. But I know what I'm doing in this case because I'm only getting rid of those 2 records. So I should expect when I run this, it's going to say you are about to delete 2 records, which is exactly what I want. So I'm going to hit yes. And then I'm going to go back to my account table, and you're going to see those 2 rows now just say hashtag deleted because they are actually no longer in the database. The only reason they're still showing here is because I have not refreshed. When I hit F5 and refresh, you can see those 2 records are now gone. So they are no longer available in the database. So that's using a delete query.